Okay, it's 5 minutes after 5. So off we go. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I mean, it's such a pleasure to see that we all made it. I mean, most times, most people are out for their thank God it's Friday. For here we are learning GTM engineering. So thank you for joining. So we have Bolaji right here. Bolaji graciously agreed to walk all of us through the new hype GTM engineering. He has hands-on experience. The new hype that actually works. Some hypes are just fad, but this one, it works. So what's interesting is that Bolaji actually has the hands-on experience. I mean, there was a time we hosted one event, exactly. Someone said I own TGFI, and someone said marketers like to talk, cho. But this is not just one of those, excessive talking. This is actually like practical. He has the experience. So he's just going to walk us through it. First of all, I think he has about 15 to 20 minutes where he will do the explanation because he needs to lay that foundation and framework for what GTM engineering is. And then afterwards, we'll start building a workflow. So the beauty of this is when you see how a workflow is being built, afterwards, you can go and try it on your own. And luckily, there are few tools you can use to do that. So I'm sure that after this session, everyone will be itching to build their first workflow. So Bolaji, over to you. And thank you once again for having us.
Yes. Good to be here. I'm seeing there's some focus. Some people are still trying to join. Okay, just give me a sec. Let me share my screen so that we can then start. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
I can hear you
All
perfectly.
right, all right, all right.
Okay, is your meet set up in such a way that you have to give everyone permission to join?
No, everyone's supposed to be able
Okay,
to. So
to join. Okay,
open it up. Okay, I'm sharing my screen in a bit.
okay.
Yeah, can you guys see my screen?
It's coming. It shows that you're sharing, but we've not. Yep, we've seen your screen.
Okay, 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 okay. Awesome. Uh, Good to be here. Today is Friday, and I'm sure that most people are probably, depending on what time zone you work in, you're probably, if you work in Nigerian time zone, you're probably rounding up your day. It's 5 p.m. already. So, but if you work in other time zones, you're still probably deep in work. So, depending on whatever time you're working in, at least happy end of the week. Sorry, the weekend is here. So, and this session, it's pretty much going to be like an introduction to GTM engineering. So, just like what Onyinye said, it's kind of like the new, kind of like new field, relatively new field where people are kind of like with the advent of like new tools, new terminologies, what people are kind of like leveraging to drive growth. So and what we'll try to do in this session is try to introduce the concepts and also just try to see what exactly is. So and just like what Onyinye said, we try as much as possible to make it that zero fluff. We'll do like real stuff so you see what's working and it's not just one of those terms where you're just hearing and it's just full of hype. So the idea, let me just move to the next slide. So some housekeeping rules. So this session is currently being recorded. So you can expect to get the recording after the call. So and if you are not going to be speaking, so you can just mute so you don't also like distract others. So and if you have questions as we move on along the session, you can just drop them in the comment section and we'll try to like pick them up. So if we are all aligned, can somebody drop like a thumbs up or just any form of reaction, just to be sure we are all together. All right, all right. I can see a lot of thumbs up. So so here's how we are going to structure this session. So to make it like very impactful, so I'll try to like spend the next 20 minutes just introduce the whole concept of GTM engineering. What exactly does it mean? Does it mean you are going to be writing code? Do you mean you're going to be like a software engineer? So I'll try to like, and how does it even connect to what exactly you're doing? Because I'm pretty sure some of you on this call are already doing like something that like relates to it already. So, but just kind of like putting into perspective, it's kind of like what we are going to do throughout this call. Then we also spend like the next 30 minutes trying to like build like a workflow live. Then the next 10 minutes kind of like spending it on Q&A. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have like questions, so try as much as possible to answer them. So, so who am I? Paula Giannifoshi once again. So, and I've spent like over 5 years, kind of like doing marketing and goods at several companies, both B2C and B2B companies. So I've had the opportunity to work at your B2C tech type companies, B2B companies. I think most of my experience has spanned majorly across B2B companies. So, and recently also, so I was lucky enough to be one of like the 50 graduate members of the pioneer cohort of like the GTM Engineering School, which was like taught by top GTM leaders. So people from like Clay, Lemley's, Octave, AirOps, Cargo. So these companies kind of like came together and put together like a GTM Engineering School. So and interestingly, out of the entire Africa, we are only two Africans that were like on the call. And another guy, Joel Ajayi. So super solid guy. He's also interesting, he's also a Nigerian. So and we are the only two guys on that on GTM, like participating in like GTM engineering school. We had like a couple of people, VP of marketing goods, like a couple of people, ex Google people, ex AHF, PM marketing leaders that were on the call. So it was kind of like very interesting because, like I said in the beginning of this session, it's a relatively new concept. So everybody's kind of like looking for ways to kind of like leverage this to like drive growth at their respective companies. So I will do that further in this session. So and my name is, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So every now and then I try to like share my thoughts, GTM, goals, product marketing. So you can search my name on LinkedIn, send me a connection. If you have questions post this session, so just send me a message on LinkedIn, very active. Also on Twitter, so you can send me a message and just follow. I also follow back. That's like my username. So now, by the way, while I'm also going through this session, it'll be nice to also like know the people on this call, so you can just kind of like introduce yourself to and what you do. That will be very helpful. So let's get into it. So what exactly is GTM engineering? So I think this is a very GTM engineering is a very interesting field, and what GTM engineering essentially means is the ability to build revenue generating systems by blending AI, automation, and being very creative with how you like kind of like approach the problem. So, and this term was coined by Clay. So obviously Clay is like the pioneer in that particular space, because I mean they were like the first movers, especially with their tool, kind of like building um, more or less like a super spreadsheet where you could do a lot of manipulation on it with like data and kind of like do a lot of amazing stuff. So, and interesting, even during one of the sessions that we had during like my program, Yash who's like the head of education of at Clay, was kind of the person that even coined it. So, and even based on like his explanation, even during our session, he mentioned that at the time they had no SARs, they had no salespeople. So he was kind of like the only person on like the revenue team, and he was kind of like figuring things out on how they could build pipeline, because they were coming from a PLG motion to like a sales-led motion, and he had to figure out how to fill up pipeline, and that required him stitching together a lot of tools, leveraging their own internal, which is Clay, to kind of like power entire that motion. And it just came on like their Slack, and I was like, I think a nice time to call this entire thing, putting together everything, is GTM engine, and they just kind of like run with it. So that's why today the whole movement around GTM engineering can be attributed to like Clay. So anything GTM engineering, kind of like Clay is like the pioneer points for anything GTM Engineering, and just kind of like flows into every other tools and every other concepts that you can see. Yeah, so when it comes to GTM Engineering, there are like 4 core pillars. So, and that first pillar of GTM Engineering is your clean data foundation. So, even in marketing and sales, if you need to do any form of outreach, you need to run any form of campaign, you need some form of data. So, and that data is like your one source of truth where you can now kind of like do whatever you want, depending on like what the goal of what you're trying to like achieve. Because like I said in the beginning, the whole essence of GTM engineering is to build um, revenue generating systems. So that's and to generate that particular system, you need data. So and data in this point can mean maybe some form of data on your ICP, your the kind of people like you are looking to go after, and being able to like enrich them with the necessary data that you want. So I'm sure most of the people on this call are probably familiar with the concept of ideal customer profile and target audience. So that's kind of like your raw data that you can now take and now kind of like enrich. And it could be even data sitting in your CRM, being able to like get extra data points, which you can now use to act upon. It's kind of like a major, very, very major pillar of GTM engineering. So another major pillar is your signals and triggers. So to ensure that whatever motion or whatever outreach or campaign kind of like really lands, signals and triggers are very important. So triggers could be anything. So in the context of, say, let's say you work at an HR company, maybe a payroll company now, a signal could be a company that's kind of like expanding into new regions or hiring new people. That's like a very good signal. So if you reach out to such companies and say, oh, you notice that we hired about 30 people in the last, say, 30 days, there's probably a need to like manage payroll efficiently. That's a message that's going to really land. So signals and triggers very, very important. And it could be other form of signal, and other even intent spikes. It could be they are spending a lot of time on your pricing pages. They've checked out your G2 page. You've checked out they are spending time on like interacting like your LinkedIn brand posts. It could be whatever signal and trigger. So it's also very important. And I think another major pillar, which is kind of like where the work also is being able to build composable modular workflows. So modular workflows in the sense that you're able to build modular workflows that you can build an MVP, for example, and kind of like scale it. Say you are using like your MVP workflow to target say 100 people. With that same modular workflow, you're able to target 1,000. You're able to target 1 million people, depending on what your total addressable market looks like. So, and to do that, you need to stitch together like a lot of tools. And we are going to get to that part. So, and most of them are definitely going to be no or low code tools, and you'll be working with like a lot of APIs, which is kind of like where the aspect of the engineering comes into place, because they're going to be working with a lot of tools and to like really put things together, also to communicate with tools, because a lot of tools probably don't even have like native integration with each other, and you still need them to talk to each other. So how do you take their API or their webhook and connect it together? So that's where the engineering part, kind of like thinking like an engineer, kind of like comes into play. So, and it's a major pillar of what was it called, of GTM engineering. So, and the last major pillar is your feedback loops. So, I mean, your favorite app, there's a the high chance that even your favorite app can break their bugs. So being able to catch those bugs in the context of your GTM system, catch them early, depending on the feedbacks you're getting, being able to like iterate fast and also like redeploy really quick is also like a major pillar of GTM engineering. So let me know if you guys are still with me. Just drop some form of reaction so I can know that I'm not speaking to myself. All right. I can see a lot of my orgas in this call. Yeah, nice to have you guys here. Okay, so let's proceed. So if you are thinking about, okay, maybe a form of, say you want to start applying it in the organization that you work, or you are thinking about maybe transitioning, or depending on what you are thinking about GTM engineering. So the major key skill sets that you need to have, the first one being systems thinking. So if you notice from the beginning of this conversation, this presentation, I've been talking about systems, revenue generating system, modular workflows. You need to be able to think in systems that you can build, that can scale. Because that's like the whole idea of GTM engineering, being able to like do more with less. So being able to think in that system that, okay, if I build XYZ, it's going to like ease the workload on the sales team, or say the marketing team, and it can even scale it faster. So that's a very important skill set. So another skill set is being able to like learn new tool fast. So if you are not able to learn new tools, if you are the kind of person that you're not ready to like learn new tools, I don't think this is going to be for you, because every new day there's a new tool to learn. There's a new API that you need to like know how it works. There's a new interface. There's a new thing that you need to learn. They even OpenAI is releasing new updates almost every day. All of the AI organizations you can think of are releasing new updates every day. So being able to like catch up really fast is something that you definitely need to be able to like do very well in this concepts. So understanding customers. So at the end of the day, I think that's kind of like what um, that also sets this apart. Is at the end of the day, if what you're trying to do is you're trying to like drive revenue, and you can't do that if you don't understand customers. So being able to think about like the ICPs, what are like their pain points, what's the jobs to be done, things like a typical marketing person or a salesperson is going to be thinking about. I mean, at the end of the day, it's GTM, so you need to have all of that unlocked. You need to understand your customers to the T. So you make this is, if you're like a PMM, you already understand like this. These are like the rudiments already. You need to understand your customers deeply. So, and copywriting is very important. You need to like have like really good copywriting skills, because even if you are going to be like scaling your effort with AI, if you don't know what good content looks like, there's no way you can churn out really good content with these systems. So it means content for landing pages, content for outbound copy, content for like even like handoffs and whatever. So copywriting is very important. So, and being technical minded, super important, because like I said, you'll be working with like a lot of no and local tools, you'll be working with like APIs, you'll be working with like webhooks. So even if you are not ideally going to be like writing code in this sense, you need to be able to like say you need to like spin out like an HTML code now, for example, or JavaScript code or whatever. Being able to like use an LLM to like write that, that's already being technical. So being able to do all of that, I'm not shy away from it. It's something that is a skill set that you like really need to excel in this field. So I'm sure most people on this call are already thinking, well, like some really good use cases of this. So there are multiple places that you can apply GTM engineering. And if from the beginning of this session, one of the major things I shared was that um, it's a revenue role. So it means that you can apply GTM engineering across multiple GTM functions. So that's sales, that's marketing, that's customer success, as RevOps, wherever the role is, you can apply GTM engineering. So because that's like the whole goal, building system that kind of like makes the work, the existing work that you do as a salesperson, the existing work you do as an SDL, as a demand gen person, as a customer success person, being able to like ease that work and scale it with systems is pretty much what you can do with like GTM engineering. And for example, you can see like the multiple use cases, so SEO, content, and social. So if you are the kind of person that you do a lot of SEO work and you need to write, you need to scale like your SEO content, that's something that you can definitely do with GTM engineering. And this is not like the regular no context, what's it called? No context content or blog posts that you're going to spin out with maybe ChatGPT or whatever. These are like high quality content that's been trained on like your brand already. It's been trained with your brand style. It's probably even going to be better than what maybe an entry level writer is going to write for you. So being able to like build that system it's something I can do with GTM Engineering. Short form video clips. And you guys already know like a lot of tools that can do this already. And you can kind of like build a system that can ease all of this already. I think recently one of the interesting things that somebody kind of like sent me a system to even build to clone, like if you have like an influencer or maybe like a talking head of like your CEO and you want to do like talking head videos, you can kind of like build an entire system that looks almost like very realistic, and you can be churning out videos with just like your scripts. Programmatic SEO, I think that's kind of like one of the ways that GTM engineering really applies. So if one of your strategy, say you're like a B2B SaaS company, and one of your strategies is programmatic SEO. Say you want to run multiple alternatives to comparison pages, you can easily do that with this. You can one of the biggest use case of this. You can run that with if you have with your CMS, say your CMS is Webflow, you can pull data with Clay, sync it to Webflow, and you're doing that in real time and scaling it. So also distribution workflows, depending on how you distribute your content, you can also build like workflows and make that easy. So an inbound lead flow, I think that's one of the biggest use cases. Especially looking at the task that SDRs take on today, or maybe like previously in the past, where a lead comes in, they need to like spend more time researching the person, knowing how, getting like context on the person. That's something that you can easily build. You can build out a workflow that makes it easy to reach that particular lead, and you're building pipelines that are very super high intent, and you're able to like route the most high intent lead to like the appropriate account executive. So outbound prospecting, I think that's also like one of the biggest use cases of GTM engineering today. So most of the people that speak about GTM engineering on LinkedIn, they speak more to even like the outbound prospecting side of things. So being able to like build lists that are very dynamic, and also run like your outbound sequences and prioritization of lead accounts to go after. So and if ABM also, so account-based marketing, if you do account-based marketing, that's something that you can also do. So you can do a lot of signal stacking. If you have like multiple signals, so I mentioned like a couple of them earlier on, say it's funding, say it's wherever it is, can stack all of these signals, and you know like the accounts that you should be prioritizing. So and you're able to like now build like systems that now personalize your assets for them. And you can also target one like target account orchestration. There are like AI agents that can even help out with all of that. So I will get to that point in this presentation. So sales execution, also meeting prep. You can automate like all of many of these things using tools I will talk about later in this session. So CRM administration, getting clean data into like your CRM, that's something that you can easily do in meeting copilots. That's tools that you can easily use for that. So for account expansion, you can build out like if you have like existing customer success playbooks, you can run automations that can kind of like help show like all of the signals and tell you, oh, this person is about to churn, this person should probably be expanding. And that's something that can, like they say, it costs less to retain a customer than acquire a new one. So that's you can easily build a system that kind of like help you with all of that entire motion, being customer success. So today there are multiple tools that you can use, but I'm just going to highlight some of the common ones that you can leverage in GTM engineering. So starting from like data, I think I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation that that data is super important. So data is super important. It's foundation of everything you're going to be doing. So and tools that you can get like really good data, depending on the motion you're trying to like leverage. Apollo is one of them. So Apollo is I think most people should already be familiar with Apollo. So you can build like really good lists with Apollo, and Apollo they've also like really upgraded they are kind of like their tool also, so you can get a lot of data in Apollo. So Phantom Bus Stamps is another tool that you can use to get a lot of data. You can scrape LinkedIn, you can scrape almost anywhere to get like really good data. So then there's Epify. Epify too is also like a really good tool. So if you are the kind of person that you are trying to like run really lean, so Epify can help you scrape a lot of data platforms, say Apollo. Because I think one use case I use Epify a lot for is I just create like a view of a list that I'm trying to build. Then I just take a link to Epify. So Epify has what they call actors. So and with that actor, there's an Apollo actor, and you just kind of like scrape that data. You can scrape more than 50K data in Epify and just kind of like reduce your costs. It's something that I've still done like recently. So then there is Zenros. So that's Zenros. This is Zenros. I'm going to be highlighting the logo so you guys are able to get what I'm talking about. So this Zenros. Zenros is also like a scraping agent. You can use it to like really scrape um, any data, websites, database that you have, scrape it and get like data. And they even have like for website that block agents, they have like browser agents that's going to act as if it's a human browsing the website and it's going to get you that data. And there's another platform called Rapid API. Rapid API is a marketplace for APIs. So depending on your use case, say you're trying to like scrape Google Maps, for example, you can get a very cheap API to like run all of that. So and there is, I think the most popular of them, Clay. So Clay has to be like the most powerful data platform. Okay. Uh, yes. Okay. Maybe as I'm saying it, maybe somebody can be helping me to type it in the comment section. So so far I've mentioned Apollo, I've mentioned Phantom Buster, I've mentioned Epify, I've mentioned Zenros, I've mentioned Rapid API, then I'm currently on Clay. So Clay is a data platform where you so the way I kind of like about Clay is more or less an aggregation of all multiple data because with Clay you can get access to even these other tools I've talked about. Inside Clay, there's Epify, there's Phantom Buster, there's Apollo, there's even Senros. So Epify is Clay is more or less like that than one place to get all of them in one place, and you can kind of like just link them without necessarily even signing up with the rest of the other tools. So that's kind of like why Clay is super powerful. So and beyond these tools, you get access to even like LLMs, signals. So all of the signals I've been talking about previously, I've talked about funding. You can get all of that inside Clay. You get country-based data. You can get country-based data. You can get tech stack. You can get funding. Whatever data you need, you can get it inside Clay. So that's why Clay is super very powerful, and it's in like moving into like the next gen of GTM, Clay is going to be like a very powerful pivotal tool. So when it comes to like workflow orchestration, automation, and building like agents, the tools that you definitely going to be using for that. So this first one being N8N. So anything, yeah, anything is super powerful. So personally, I think I like anything because what you can do with it is very limitless. You can build almost anything you can think about in anything. It's because it gives you that level of power, and it's very custom. And you can bring so previously I was talking about talking to like different tools with APIs and webhooks. It's something you can do. You can connect any tool to each other with their API on anything. And you can build like really good agents that whatever task you do, routine tasks that you kind of like do on a daily, you can build them in anything. So there's another one, Cargo. So Cargo is even more tailored. It's more or less like tailored to GTM. You can get like prospecting agents. You can build prospecting agents in Cargo. You can build like agents that look for lookalikes of, say, your customers. It just kind of like source everything for you. You can do all of that with Cargo. There is make.com. So personally, I've not really used Make, maybe because I'm more used to anything. So, and I think why I also like anything is anything also like really gives you the ability to self-host. So it means that you can it's an open source. They have like the community open source version. You can just take and host on like your own server. So every if you are a tech company, probably already pay for cloud already, so you can easily just self-host it. Most of the companies I work at currently co-work with currently just self-host anything, and you can pretty much just run on like zero cost for anything. So make.com is a very good platform. I have like colleagues and friends that also use Make, and they say good things about make.com. And there's Zapier. I think most people Zapier has to be like the OG of the space already. So and Zapier it's also like a really good workflow automation tool. So you can also build like really good things with Zapier. I think most people that have done automation in the past probably have used Zapier already. So and what's GTM engineering without AI? So what you're definitely going to be needing also too, you're going to be needing like your LLMs. LLMs are going to be like a very important, your large language models and generative AI models. So you're definitely going to be needing them for different use cases that you're going to be doing. It could be writing at scale, it could be research at scale, it could be content. I mentioned content writing, even generating images. It could be anything. It could be writing code, whatever you are trying to do. So across building like agents, across trying to like manipulate data, you're definitely going to be needing LLMs. So that's why one of the things you probably be doing, even trying to like build GTM engineering systems, would be signing up to like your preferred LLM mode and buying like an API key so that you're able to like just be able to do stuff. So you have like OpenAI. You have OpenAI is everybody knows OpenAI. OpenAI is like the platform for O4, O4 mini, O3 mini. For if you use ChatGPT, you should already be familiar with those models already. So and there is Anthropic. So Anthropic is like the Claude models, Claude Sonnets, Haiku, and all of those models. You can get them with Anthropic. And there's DeepSeek. So DeepSeek is super good. You can do like a lot of good stuff. It's DeepSeek. And there's Gemini. That's like Google's model. So you can get a lot of models on that Gemini also too. So vibe coding. So in some instances, you probably need to, in terms of like build system, you might probably need to like build simple tools that will make your work easy. Say, for example, you're a marketing person, you need to do like UTM links in batch. You can write code a tool that does that for you. I think one of the tools like I'm recently working on personally for myself is I'm trying to like build like a tool that makes it that I can just kind of like connect APIs to. And when I type in a list I'm trying to build, say I need a list of CEO SaaS companies in say Canada. I just type it with natural language and just kind of like giving that CSV list. So that's a tool I'm building internally for myself, leveraging anything, couple of other APIs that I got on Tavily, Fireclaw, and a couple of others. So tools that you can use to write code these tools. There's Lovable. So Lovable is very popular, so you can check it out also. So there is bolts.new. There's Base 44. So Base 44 was recently acquired by Wix, so it's a Wix product now. So there's Cursor also too. So and your regular CRMs also too. You have like HubSpot, Attio, and other CRM platforms that you already know, Pipedrive and other CRMs that you can use. Because definitely, if you are going to be running GTM engineering, you need a CRM too. So and for your engagements, depending on how you are thinking about engagements, there's Lemlist. Lemlist is super powerful. Use why Lemlist is super powerful is because with Lemlist you get everything. You are able to like warm up your email domains. You can buy email accounts in there. You can do multi-channel outreach. So I think a very powerful use case I found recently with Lemlist is being able to do really personalized outreach on LinkedIn with voice notes. So and the open rate is really, really super high because I mean not a lot of people know that you can clone your voice and do personalized outreach at scale using lem lists right now, and that's connecting it to like a tool like Clay. So that's something you can do with lem, and that's why I said lem is super powerful because it's multi-channel. You can do email, you can do calls, you can do LinkedIn with it. So LinkedIn is a super powerful tool for prospecting. So yeah, there's instantly to super powerful tool for email outreach, cold outbound, and the smart lead. Yeah, smart lead is also another tool that super good for emails. Personally, I'm currently using it for some of the campaigns I'm running right now, and the infrastructure is like really good for in like running campaigns, and you get like really good results with smart lead. And with smart lead also too, you're able to like warm accounts. You do like you get like a really good dashboard for your campaigns. And there's A-Reach. So A-Reach is like purely LinkedIn. So if you do a lot of LinkedIn outreach, you can use A-Reach for it. So and now for SEO, so AirOps is a super powerful tool that you can use for SEO. So the use case I mentioned earlier on, where you have like your brand kits or information, say you're a product marketing person, you're shipping like new features or new products, you're able to like be able to add those contexts within AirOps. And when AirOps is writing content, it's able to like kind of like reference those products, the features, and if you have like a specific messaging and positioning framework, you can also like kind of like feed it those that particular messaging and positioning framework, because obviously we are taking a product to market, you should already have all of that. And if you have like your content style, how you guys write your content, you can feed all of that to AirOps. And within it, you can get access to like all of the LLMs that you can use to write. So Claude is really good for writing content. So you can use Claude as your model for writing content. So it helps is super powerful. And the use case I mentioned around programmatic SEO, so they have like templates already. You check out help, just go to like their websites, resources, you see all of that there. There's software SEO. Software SEO too is really good. And there's Octave. So Octave too is also it's a very powerful tool because with Octave, Octave HQ, what you can do with it is you can build your messaging, your positioning, all of those playbooks within it. And what it does is you can now connect it to all your tools so that your messaging, positioning, playbook, everything is kind of like very consistent across everywhere. So and that's kind of like what you can do with Octave. Then there's Ahref, so it's your regular SEO tool. So they are also like moving that way. And you can even get Ahrefs API, plug it wherever to get like keywords and kind of like your SEO data. Okay, so and I saw this image and I just thought about it. I saw it from like the next play guys. So it kind of like really visualize what it looks like with GTM engineering, because the status quo ideally would be okay, you have like 50,000 leads to contact. And if you worked maybe say 5 years ago or so, beyond that, the way an SDR is probably going to operate is when you get like a new lead, you to write a really good personalized email to one lead, you probably have to spend like 20 minutes to research that lead, and you know how much work that is. And that's kind of like one of for enterprise company, we have like a lot of SDRs on their team. So and that's kind of like one of like the grants work GTM is trying to kind of like solve. So the whole aspect of follow-ups, sending code emails, for example, um, doing like research at scale. It's kind of like what's so, and this kind of like visualizing. You see that from here, you can send emails with Smartly. You can using Claude or OpenAI. You can personalize intro. You can stack buying signals. You can enrich leads with Clay, because like I said, Clay is a data platform. They have over 100 data providers. So it's very easy to like get enrich like whatever lead list you have, or depending on whether it's inbound or outbound, you can easily just do all of that. So and so I think one of the superpowers of being like GTM engineering, like just coming from these images, if you can build like really good systems, one GTM engineer can probably do the work of like 10 SDLs. So if you if the goal of like the SAR team is kind of like pass qualified prospects or like AEs, that's something like easily a GTM engineering can do, because with the army of tools, even the ones that have like kind of like showcase, if you put together all of them, it's something that can easily hit. Oh, sorry. SDRs mean sales development reps. Yes. So SDR mean sales development reps. So in sales-led organizations, so they typically structure their sales organization. They will have like SDRs, so they are kind of like doing like prospecting, trying to like get qualified prospects, and what they can kind of now do is they pass it on to like account executives. So account executives are in charge of like closing the deal and closing the accounts. So depending on the organization you work, so some organizations are and the GTM motion, they are kind of like leveraging. Some organizations are sales led, some are product led, and some even like kind of like do hybrid, leverage like hybrid motion of both product led and sales led. So this is kind of like putting in context of a sales led organization. So if you want to learn more on, say you want to do some self learning of GTM engineering, you can there's the GTM engineering school I mentioned earlier on. You can check it out. So we were the first cohort. So the second cohort should be happening very soon. So you can sign up to like the wait list. It's probably one of the best learning experience I've had, because it was very, very hands-on. We got to interact with facilitators like in a live session, and we're even building things on the live session. So you can check it out and kind of like sign up for that. So and Clay as a university also too. You can check out their university, Clay University. That's like the URL. So it's a good place to start. So and oh, there's another one I'm missing here. There's another one called Clay Quartz. So that Clay Quartz is, let me see if I can get the URL and just drop this in the comments section. So Clay Quartz is the um, live live version of Clay Learning experience. So you can also sign up, and I think when you sign up, you can get up to 5,000 credits for free. So that's something to like really use to learn. I was luckily when I was in the GTM engineering program, I got through the program, I got like 6,000 Clay credits, and that was like something that I was able to like just use to play a lot with Clay, and kind of like also just learn how to use the tool. So then there's AirOps. So I mentioned AirOps previously. So you can go to like AirOps Academy and kind of like learn a lot there. And anything, YouTube, you can kind of like just go to Natax YouTube channel. I mean, that guy is a beast. If you want to learn, he has like a 8 hours, a long deep dive, more or less like a master class on anything. And when I was ready to beyond what we did in the school, that was where I kind of like learned how to use anything. So it's a very good resource to learn anything. There's a Substack. I recently discovered this Substack. So it's a newsletter on GTM Engineering also too. So it's kind of also like a good way to catch up on what's going on in the industry, where are we evolving to? And I mean, University of YouTube, anything you want to learn, any tool you want to learn, there is a video on YouTube. Just pop it in the search, and you are definitely going to find resources to help you. Any tool, I mentioned mentioned Smartly. There are resources on YouTube that can help you just kind of like learn these tools. So okay, so I think I spent more than the time I expected I would. I was expecting to spend on the slides as well. The next aspect of this session is trying to like build like a play workflow live. So, but if you've been following me so far, drop some form of reaction. Have you learned anything so far? Yes, I can see a lot of reactions. Yes. So I think before I go into okay, yeah, let's just proceed. Let's just proceed. We get to see more. Okay, so for the workflow we are going to be building live, it's very simple. So let's just assume all of us on this call, we've just been hired at DigitalOcean. So, and if you don't know DigitalOcean, DigitalOcean is a cloud solution company. So, and your, let's say your line manager just told you, we don't have, our pipeline is dry. There's nothing is happening in our pipeline. Help us ship quality um, new leads into like our pipeline, new prospects into like our pipeline. So our accounts executive, their calendar is fully booked. So there are multiple ways to approach this. Like I mentioned previously. So you can approach it from an inbound perspective, and you can also approach it from like an outbound perspective. So, but for the sake of this session, I mean, we don't have access to DigitalOcean internal access, their websites, their social media channel, and all of their email. So we can exactly go the inbound route. So we'll be going after the outbound routes. So and inbound essentially mean leads that are kind of like warm in the sense, say people that are visiting your website, but they've not kind of like maybe book a meeting. So you can build inbound workflows. Say there are providers like, I don't think I mentioned it previously, but there are providers like our B2B, for example. So if your audience is in the US, people visiting your website from the US, you can get like data um, directly from our B2B, and that's something you can easily pipe to Clay. Then you do like your lead scoring in Clay, and you are like really personalized sequence, pipe is like smart lead, and you can try to like get that person to book a meeting. So that's an inbound workflow I've already shared. So, but what we'll be doing, I prepared a worksheet for this. Uh, Let me know if you can still see my screen. If you guys can still see my screen, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So like I was saying, um, DigitalOcean is a cloud solution. So, and there are multiple ways, like I previously said, there are multiple ways you can approach like building, trying to like generate leads or build ship the quality pipeline. There's the inbound approach, and there's there's the outbound approach, and there's even what people call outbound, where you're just kind of like combining everything together. So, but we'll try to do like an outbound approach quickly on this call, so at least kind of like give people the sense of what you can do, and that kind of like provides like a good foundation for people to just take on and also do like deep dives. So, like a snapshot, like of what we are trying to do of DigitalOcean. So, if you remember what at the beginning of the session, um, as a GTM engineer, you need to like be very customer focused or obsessed. You need to understand like your customers really well. And if you are looking enough, if you are working in an organization where you already have like a PMM, the PMM probably already have all of these details already. Yeah, just a new person joining DigitalOcean, for example. In fact, they'll probably have all of these playbooks already that they can GTM playbook they can just share with you. So and so for the sake of this, what we are trying to also build, the ICP for DigitalOcean are going to be like VC-backed startups, small and medium-sized businesses, and indie developers team that are just kind of like looking for a very low-cost cloud hosting that they can know that, oh, at the end of the month, I'm paying $5. I don't want to wake up to like surprises. So and key decision makers, we have founders, CEOs of like early stage companies, CTOs, VPs of engineering, lead DevOps engineer, and the top competitors are going to be AWS and GCP. So, and people on this call, we know how GCP and AWS they work up quickly. The moment you are done with like your pack, you just those bills they start to hit you. So that's like a really good positioning for DigitalOcean already. So, and one of the things I also went ahead to do, so if you go ahead to like DigitalOcean websites, so I just kind of like went ahead and went to their customer case studies. And by the way, one of the interesting things I've been doing recently, I've switched to my browser to from Chrome, my primary browser. I've switched it from Chrome to Dia. There's a browser called Dia now. It's super, super beautiful. Like what you can do with Dia, you can chat with like your tabs, and it just kind of like pull stuff for you like really quick. Yes. So you can say I asked this for like his customer case study and just kind of like pull that for me. And you say within the same tab, he was able to like just pull all of that for me. So if I needed more context, say look for a case study that was specific to like costs. It's probably going to look for that for me. Yes, it's telling me that there is no bid. So already, let me see if I can pull the link. So let me see if I can do like a search here. Okay, so this is actually like a case study that we can actually use in our campaign. So so we don't spend so much time here. Let's just proceed and we'll do like more walkthroughs. So I already highlighted some of the case studies already here that we can use. So what we're just going to do next is just go into play. And if you guys can still see my screen, please just confirm you can see my screen. All right. All right. So what I'm going to be doing next is I'll be creating like a new. So when you get into Play, I mean, this is an account I just created like earlier on today, just for the sake of this session. So this is what you're going to see when you get into Play. So this is what like the dashboard looks like. So what you want to do first of all is, and let me quickly give you guys a snapshot of what we are going to be doing, because I also broke it down so that I can also share Dear browser. Let me just type it in the comment section. Yes. So if you are using like a Mac M1 upwards, you can get a browser. I don't think they've shipped it to Windows yet. So, but for like the workflow steps for what we are going to be doing, I broke it down here already. So what we are going to be doing essentially is we are going to be finding companies that fits what we are trying to do. So what we are going to be focusing in this session for DigitalOcean is we try to look for early stage companies that are kind of like SaaS companies in the US. Then we try to like determine if the company is a actually a SaaS company, and try to like look for their SaaS products URL. We will then try to, I think one of the major things I mentioned earlier on this session is your data is very important, and signals. So the signal we are going to be using right here is like their tech stack. We try to like pull it, and based on that, we try to like extract the cloud hosting they are using. So the next step would then be to look for any recent major news that we can use to kind of like personalize our messaging to them. Then we then look for decision makers. I think in our ICP we already highlighted CTOs, VPs of engineering, and therefore lead develop engineers as our ICP, as our decision makers. So we look for them. Then we run like try to look for their work email, then we generate like the email we want to send to them. So we generate one email, and yeah, let's try to run through all of this. Okay, let's go back to play. So what we are going to be doing, first of all, so try to like open like a new workbook. So for everything you're trying to do in Play, the first step of what you're trying to be doing is to just open a workbook. So it's just like a blank sheet for everything you're going to be doing. So I can call this, I can call it DigitalOcean, outbound motion, DigitalOcean's outbound GTM, something like that. Name this workbook that. Yes. So, and like I said, the first thing we need to do is we need to pull in data. So data is very important. So there are actually multiple ways to pull in data. So you can, if you have like a database of where the SaaS company, say YC, yes. Let's say YC has like a list of pages. We can decide we want to scrape that YC page that maybe all of the people that join like YC squads this year, whatever, you can scrape that page, and that can be like your data source. So, and if you come here, if you come to our sources, if you check, I mentioned Zenros earlier on. There are multiple, yes, exactly. So you can use AP5 since Zenros is not shown. You can use AP5 to scrape the page and import that data here. Or you can use a webhook. So if you come here, if you come to all sources, you definitely see webhook. So if you scrape from somewhere else, you can just create a webhook that's going to be sent to that data and just going to like pull it into Play. Then you can do all of your enrichment. If you check here, if you have like those data in HubSpot already, you can import it into Play. Anywhere you have your data, you can just easily pull it into Clay. So, but for the sake of this call, we'll be doing like native Clay search. Then we just kind of like enrich that data from there. So if you guys are still following me, just let me know. I just want to ensure everyone is following. Okay, great. Okay, so what we'll be doing, first of all, we'll be looking for companies that fit our ICP and so on. What I initially said, we'll be looking for SaaS companies, early stage SaaS companies that's probably they've not raised up to, they've raised less than $1 million, and they have like a very small team size. So just to kind of like gauge that they have like really small engineering team also too. So what we'll do, the industries that we'll be looking for, we have software development. Then we can also, that's kind of like, if you check on LinkedIn, that's kind of like the industry that a lot of people use, because this is also like built on like the industry category that LinkedIn use. And there's also like a model they call like the next model. It's also like, it also pulls the industry categories from there. So let's also look for technology companies. So we can actually select technology, information and internet, technology information and yes. So but you can see in real time, it's also like really showing me people in my ICP, but based on the industries I've already selected. But obviously we don't want to target Google. Google is a provider of GCP, so it makes no sense. So it means that we still need to like filter for them. So what we are doing next is, like I said, we can target companies that are between the range of 11 to 50. We can target companies that raised under $1 million. We can target private health companies. And so you can see as I'm adding all of these things, it's kind of like just populating in real time. So then we can also, we said we are going to target people, companies in the US. So we'll also just do that next. Look for select the location as the US. So and you can also do this for Nigerian companies, depending on anywhere you want to target, you can easily do that. So you can, if you search here, if you look for Nigeria, you definitely see Nigeria also. So this works for, it's not just the US alone. You can get data of companies in Nigeria. So next thing also too is, so we can already see the companies already. So we can decide to pull in, let's say you can limit the results to say 100 for the sake of this call. Yes, so let's just continue and pull this in. I'm trying to look at this data to be sure that they are actually technology components. So yeah, it checks. So let's pull this in. So what we'll do is we'll import this into like a new table. Yes. So this table is going to be the foundation of everything we are then going to be doing next. So what we need to do next now is to kind of like now we already have these companies. We know there are companies in the US. They are between 11 to 50. They are software companies. So, but we now need to actually be sure they're like a SaaS company. SaaS company in the sense that they have like a cloud products where they host their products over the cloud, and people can actually use like a web app. So that's what going to be trying to do next. And we also try to like now look for the actual URL where the app is hosted, because you can actually have like your website, your marketing website, say DigitalOcean, for example, to be built on Webflow, and that won't give you like the actual data of what cloud they're using to host the app. So, and their actual app might actually be say app.digitalocean.com. So we also actually need to do that so we ensure that the data we are getting is very accurate. So what we'll be doing next is to be running what we call a plugins. So what I've done so far, you can pretty much just say that I just kind of like important. This is what I'm getting. So what we are doing next is we are adding a column. So we'll just say use AI. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to do web research. So like I mentioned earlier, you can use LLMs for multiple use cases. You can generate image, you can create content, you can do research on the web. So, but in our own case, what we are trying to do is to research the web. So when you come here to the model, you can see that there are multiple models that you can use. So Clay has their own native models, which they call ClayGens. So they have about 4 models. They have Helium, Neon, and Argon. So, but beyond that, you can now bring in like your own regular models. So if you have like an API key for OpenAI already, you can plug in your API key. And to be honest, if you want to save credits on Clay, that's the best thing to do, because Clay gets like it's very easy to burn Clay credits. So if you want to save your credits, just bring in your own API. You can easily just be stopping it up, and it's way cheaper. So if I was actually building stuff for maybe a client or whatever, I would have brought in like my own API. But for the sake of this call, we'll use the native Clay integration. Now, for what we are trying to do, because it's just like a basic, what's it called, web research, we can use like the cheapest OpenAI model, being GPT-4 Mini. So, and what we then need to do now is we need to feed it a prompt. So I'll just say, so one of the beautiful things about Clays, they have like a prompt generator that you can use. So if you write it in very natural language, you can easily just pop it out for you easily. So I can say what to kind of like select columns here. What you just need to do is just press /. So I'm going to pop all the data that you have. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to research a company to determine if they're a SaaS company, and to also look for their SaaS app URL. So I can write it in a very basic way. So this is the name of the company. So for company name, I'll just say research if they're a SaaS company, and we done their SaaS app here. So I can also add their domain here. So there's two data points you can pick. Like I said, just enter forward slash and you can just pick it. So I'm saying their domain here. So it's you can put in like that dynamic data. So what we are doing next is we generate the actual prompts. So because this is not a structured prompt. So that's like another course on its own, writing prompts for LLM. So but like I said, Clear has made it easy. You can use their prompt generator to generate your own prompts. So generate the prompts. Wait for it to generate for us. Yes, so it has generated the prompt for us already. So it's assuming the prompt is assuming that we have two companies. So what I'll just do is I'll just take out this domain. I'll just take out the name rather. So it's just using like the domain alone for like the research. So it's not confusing it for two companies. So I'll just take it out then. I will generate the prompts. Yes, so you can see that this is kind of like how Clay structures their prompts for their Clay gens. So giving it context, objective, and the instructions to like perform that particular task. So yes, so the prompt looks good. So what we're just going to do is accept the prompt. So I'm just kind of like ensure that everything checks. Okay, so what we'll do next is we'll try to that switch the model. So I'll switch it back to 4 mini. So let's see the result is going to give us. So what we'll do is one of the ways to also like save credits is to you don't just run your entire budget on like all the rules at once. So you can start with like 10 rules, see what the result looks like, because you might need to like do some fine tuning and just to get like better results. So we run it on the first 10 rules. So I'm just wait to see the results. So sometimes play takes, depending on the model, it takes its time to like really go to do like the research for each of the rule. It takes its time to like really do all of that. So um she expects the results in a bit.
Hi Bolaji, thank you so much. So I was wondering, since
Okay.
we're waiting for it to, populate some of these SaaS app URLs, can we take one question and then maybe by the time we're done responding, it's done, we
Yes.
can continue. Okay.
Yeah, that
So
works.
guys, The floor is open. Anyone who has questions, you can unmute or you can just type it in the chat and we would respond. And in the meantime, I'm just going to drop the link to a feedback form. So, how has the session been? We're still building this workflow. So, do you want Bolaji to slow down? Do you want him to break down some concepts? So, just drop all this feedback here, and then we'll just incorporate your feedback even as the session is still in progress. But time for questions. Feel free. So since there's no one, Bolaji, let me ask you one question. So
Okay.
how do we balance out GDPR? Because I was talking with someone about, I was saying, oh, let's try. I was having a conversation with someone around outbound, and then I said, oh, we can use all these GTM engineering tools, Clay. And then the person kept emphasizing worries around GDPR. You know how, Europe is very big on GDPR. So for marketers who are either based in Europe or want to target people based in Europe, how do you balance, this is outbound. So how do you balance all that? Are you breaking some GDPR rules by even doing this? How can you navigate that thin line?
Not necessarily. So why I say that is, so for most of the tools you are going to be using, um, they are exactly. People are already answering in the comment section. Even most of these tools are usually like very GDPR compliant. So I think for most of the tools also, so when you get like responses that oh, maybe I'm not interested, it's very easy. You can add them to like a DNC list, where you don't like send messages to them like consistently already. So there's, for most of say smart lead, instantly, they have like a DNC list where you can just classify them under. If you get like feedback that's what's it called, that you don't want them to reach, you don't want to reach them again. So it's very straightforward. So, and most of even like these tools, they already have like the necessary certifications that kind of like cover them already under like GDPR rules. So you're not breaking any law.
Thank
Let's see,
you.
let's see what's going on. Maybe it's my internet, so I'll try to refresh this. I'm trying to run it again. I don't know why it's taking so much time to run. It has actually already run already, self. so, as you can see here, it was able to actually pull um, the SAS app URL for the first one. So you can see like what I was saying. Um, as you can already see, like what I was saying, for careerflow.ai. So that was actually not the SaaS app URL. So you can see that their actual app is hosted on app.careerflow.ai. TopMate is actually TopMate. There's platform. So let's try to run it for 20 more rows so that we get more data. So today I just kind of like highlight the rows you want to do it for and just run it for the. So, and like I was saying also to initially, the reason why I ran it for the first time is to be able to ensure and see whether the result I'm going to get is a really good result. Because if I hadn't got like a good result, I would have fine-tuned like the prompt again. Because one of the things you want to, it's very easy for Clay to get expensive if you are not like maximizing your credits very well. If you just decide to like run it for a list of say 200 or 1000, for example, and you're spending one credit per row, you've already burnt your credit already. So credit optimization is very important when you're using Clay. Let me run this again. So the next step for us actually, I'll probably just use the ones I'm getting. Let me try to refresh this and see whether the result have already gone, and maybe it's clear or just my internet is just moving weirdly today. Or maybe Clay wants me to use their own native agents and not use OpenAI. Who knows? So, and by the way, while the rules are running, in case you have any question, you can just drop it in the chat or on mute and just ask it later.
Hi, hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening, David.
My name is David. So I have a question. My question would be, in terms of the Nigerian market, have you ever like successfully run campaign in the Nigerian market, and do we have this like data as rich as what you're getting maybe outside of Nigeria?
Oh yes, yes, absolutely. Interestingly, I'm running a campaign right now for a company, and the results have been really, really good. Um, so for context, the company is an influencer marketing agency. So they're trying to like land more brands that's pretty much just one influencer marketing campaign. So they have like a sales team. So we've been running like a campaign for them. Um, Started the campaign that was like last week, and within the space of last week to now, we've generated like actual five like meetings booked for their sales team that are already in conversations with already looking to close. So there's if it's a conversation about data, there's like data in Nigeria, and you can run these campaigns. So at the end of the day, what matters at the most because is how you structure your campaigns, the quality of data that you're also using to run it, and also how you also structure your sequence. The messaging too is very important. So I think one of the things that made the campaign really resonate was how personal the email felt. It felt like a one-to-one email as opposed to like a really a mass email where you just know, oh, this is a code email. So the responses were really good. So even the people that we didn't book meetings for, they say, oh, they didn't have like a use case for it at the moment, but maybe later on down the year. So yeah, the result has been really good in the Nigerian context.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think one of the beauty of Clay, like I previously mentioned, is with Clay you get like multiple data points. So as opposed to when you were using Apollo alone, companies that needed influencers, not necessarily influencers per se, but there were signals that kind of like show that they might need like influencers to like run their campaign. So we had like multiple triggers that we were using to run it. So maybe companies that were expanding across Africa, companies expanding into Nigeria. So we had like multiple of these data signals and data points that we kind of like stacked together and used to run the campaign. So yeah, I think for B2B companies in Nigeria, that's running campaigns with like stacking play together and all of that. Something everybody they should actually be looking into. So I think after this, I'll just okay. Lydia, you
Yeah,
ask a question.
hi. Thank you so much for all you've been sharing so far. So I was wondering, I was going to ask, yeah, if this applied to like the Nigerian or Africa markets generally. And since you said yes, you've tried it, I was wondering if there is like any unique things or any particular thing you've noticed maybe when working within the market that people need to take into consideration. So it's like have there been any differences you've noticed when you're trying to target people in Europe versus if you were trying to work within like the African markets when using this?
Oh yes. Absolutely. I think the number one thing has to be messaging. So messaging really matters. So if you are targeting, say, if you are trying to target like what was it called, local service businesses in the US now, the messaging, that's where in some context you might try to bring your messaging to like maybe eighth grade, the kind of like the way it's going to, the tone of the email itself. And in Nigeria, if you can reference like really good specific, the way Nigerians like, if there's like a very specific, how am I going to put it, nuance to like the Nigerian market that you can reference, for example, you want to reference it. Say things that you know that only Nigerians will probably be able to resonate with. You want to do that. So I would say one of the major things that differs in is how you communicate. So you want to, when you're prompting like your AI for like the messaging, you also add all of those contexts. So and that's why if you see in trying to, what's it called? In trying to like write the prompts, one of the major things that comes up first is you giving it context, so it knows what and what to run with. So I'm just trying to like run this one by one so we can also proceed. So yeah, messaging is definitely top of what you need to look out for in terms of like different. But for every other thing, I don't think it pertains to the customer per se. Every other thing now pertains to you. So where are you scraping like your leads from? Where are you getting it from? And yeah, I think another thing I was going to mention previously also too is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn too is actually, if you are targeting Nigerians, LinkedIn is also like a really good channel that you should add. So try to make like your outreach really multi-channel. So you combine like emails and what's it called? And LinkedIn. So for the company that are running a campaign for, one of the things that one of the next steps we are trying to even really test well is the voice messages. So we have like an actual Nigerian record like a message, then we then clone the voice and use that. So that's also like another nuance because obviously we can't use like native voices on Lemlist, US voices, European voices. So, but we have to create our own Nigerian voices on that campaign. So that's another nuance. So that's something we want to test over the next couple of weeks. So and also, I mean, I expect the results to be really good because I don't think there are a lot of people that are doing that in Nigeria right now. And even if they do, not a lot of people is if you get like a voice note in your LinkedIn DM, there's a high chance you want to listen to it. So yeah. Okay, so we
Hi,
already
sorry, before you move on, I think there's one other question. Someone is asking about
okay.
selling to niche markets and all that. Can you take a look?
Okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so if most of these data providers, so many of them get their data from LinkedIn, and some of them have like their other data providers are not reliant on LinkedIn. So far they're on LinkedIn, you're able to like get their LinkedIn profile. There's a high chance that you might be able to get their what's it called, their emails. So and in terms of other data providers, I mean I can't really speak be specific to like say asset management because I've not worked in that particular niche. So but what will work best is maybe if there's some form of what's it called, database that you can scrape where this information are there, then it just does. And I think another interesting thing that I also I've seen also too with some data providers is they also try to like get their data by running like some form of randomization. So maybe based on like the domain of the company, they then try to like run multiple options of what could be the email. So what they then do now is say Temitope at let's say armventures.com, t.temitope. They want like multiple options. So what they then now do is they now have like a form of email verifier to now check the one that's the actual email of the person that is a deliver that if you send an email to is actually going to deliver. So that's something else. So, but if in Nigerian context, so far the companies are on LinkedIn, you there's a good chance that you might be getting their what's it called their data. So let's just proceed to this. So we spend good time already, but let's just try to move ahead. So what we'll be trying to do next is we'll be trying to check for the text stack of this URL. So we'll try to convert this column to a URL. Yes. So what we then do next is we see that we couldn't get like the SaaS app URL. So it's possible that maybe they are not like a SaaS app. So what we'll do next is try to get like their tech stack. So come to enrichment and just search for technology stack. So there are multiple ways to get multiple providers for technology stack. Yes, as you can see, just entering technology brings up like multiple providers. So, but I think I'll use Build Suite because personally, even before the era of Clay, I've been using Build Suite for a long time, and you could even get results with Build Suite. And that was kind of like why what I was talking about previously. That if you don't want to start your process from within Clay, you can go and scrape other resources and just bring it into Clay. So I could have easily gone to Build Suite and try to like get a result of companies that run on say AWS or Azure or GCP and just then import them. There's also another provider called Wapalizer. So Wapalizer also gives you can get like tech stack of companies. So you can also use it to scrape. I think they have like an API that you can use to do all of that scraping. Then you just pipe it via their webhook to Clay. So, but for since they already have it here, we can just go ahead to use Build Suite. So what we then do next is, for companies that they don't have like a valid URL, we are going to script them. So what we then do is we write like a formula to do that. So and to add that formula to there's an AI to do that for you. So you just kind of like write it in natural language. So only run if so generate the formula and we'll proceed with it. Yeah, so you can already see to the right, showing that telling us the rules are going to run and the ones are not going to run. So you can just say the output is correct. Then we can then go ahead to to run these particular enrichments. So we only need the technology, so run that. So as usual, we are going to run it for the first 10 rows. Then we can run it for the rest. Okay, yeah, so it has outputted. So I think probably maybe OpenAI is having some form of issues. That's why it was very slow because Build Suite just outputted really fast. So let's run for the rest of this also too. Okay, so what we'll do next is to now determine the cloud provider you're using based on the technologies that they've outputted here. So it's showing all of the tools they are using here. So we just use AI to kind of like classify that. So as usual, we use OpenAI to classify. You can use 4 Mini to do all of that. Yeah. You can say based on determine what cloud solution, AI use. Can add some context and say only outputs. Okay, this prompt looks good, so we can accept the prompt. Then we try to so we also add we need to also like add the condition for it to run. Only so we only run if it's not empty, if the technology stack column is not empty. So let's try to run for the first 10 rows. Yeah, I think this slowness is peculiar to OpenAI's platform. Let me try to use another model where I'm going to get better results. Oh, was I using? Oh, interest. I think I was using Clegent, so I'll switch to GPT-4. I was actually using Clegent. Okay, we're actually reaching out to companies that needed influencers or looked like they might be needing influencers soon. Yeah, so it's an influencer marketing agency. So they were reaching out to, they needed clients and they needed um, people. So yeah, you can see when I switched the model, it's giving me actual results. So the model I was using before wasn't smart enough to classify it. So let's run it for the rest of the rows that we have. So interestingly, we can see that the hypotheses were correct because a lot of companies out there are using either of AWS or Google Cloud. So anyone that's working at, say, DigitalOcean, this is like a playbook they can easily just run. They can be, and they have like it's something like they can easily just scale it because we've done it for, we are just working with like a list of 20 people so far. So you can easily just scale the enrichment to even more companies. Yes, you can actually use it to scale to look for influencers, and that's like a very use case because at some point I used to run like one of the major things I do is to like run like partner marketing. So I'm trying to like look for partners. So partners means agencies, YouTube content creator. It's something I easily do with I can easily do with Clay. So there is Phantom Buster and even Amplify has like actors that's TikTok actors where the actors can, depending on like the keyword, say you're selling like a sales solution or sales engineering solution, the actor can go and look for content creators that are talking about sales engagement, sales enablement, whatever the keyword that matters to you. It does all of that and just kind of like returns it for you, and you can enrich their details for you. There's even a particular data provider on Clay. Let me see if I can just look for it while this runs. I can't remember the particular name, but yeah, you can also get like, yes, you can see influencers club. So you can get like content creator details for you. And you can also run like lookalike. So if you have like a particular content creator that's worked for you in the past, you can run like a lookalike for them. So you can see they even have like multiple providers, Upfluence, Modash, and much more. So the next step for us, ideally, after like getting like the cloud solution, like as you guys can see, we've gotten like the cloud solution that some of these companies are already using, Google Cloud, AWS. So the next step will ideally be to, I mean, because to make the whatever content you are going to be sending to them feel very personalized a bit, you want to reference something that pertains to them that kind of is going to make it look like, oh, this person actually did some research on us. So the next step will be to like pull like a recent news, say in the like last 12 months, that you can reference in the first line of your email. So, but OpenAI is not coming through quick. So I'll try to refresh this page. Maybe it has it's done already, and maybe it's my internet. Who knows? Uh, it's actually done already. So it's a mix of AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud for the companies that we run the enrichments for. So let's move ahead to cost of time. I don't know if people are still willing to stay longer. As if I say I want to launch, if I want to run the enrichments for recent news, that might take more time. So I think I'll just go ahead to go to finding people, decision makers, and I'll just try to run just at least give like an idea of what it looks like to write the email. So I'll jump the recent news step and move on to like looking for decision makers at this company. So we don't spend more time because we already spent more time than we already expected on this call. Okay, so let's find people at these companies. So what we said when we are looking at our worksheets, we said that ideal decision makers are CEOs, that's for like really early stage companies, CTOs, VP of engineering, and DevOps engineers. So, but for the sake of this, I'll limit it to just the CTOs and any form of engineering leadership that they have. So, and interestingly, Clay has like the ability to like, you can choose job functions. So you can select engineering as a job function, and we can select the seniority level of who we are trying to uh, target. So we can select C-suites, VP, and let's say head or director if they have one to. So we need to map the company's LinkedIn. So let's do that here. Yes. So you can already see like engineering leaders at these companies already that we can potentially target. So you can see head of engineering operations. I mean specifically add CTO. So whether I can pull out CTO for me. Let me take out all of this first and add CTO specifically. Okay, so it's actually giving me CTOs already of the companies. And I think that actually works for what we're trying to do. I'm a chief technology officer. Let me add engineering lead or engineering manager. They have one. Okay, so let's just pull in the CTOs and just proceed. So you can import it to like a new table. So the concept of clay, the approach to like building on clay, you typically have like your company's table and then you have like your people's table. So companies being like the account level and people table being like the actual decision maker, the buyer personas that you're trying to target within the company. So I just want to confirm something here. Let's run this. This is what connects the two tables together. So we just have to run it. So we're able to pull context from the other table that we got in here. Yeah, I just want to check something. I want to be sure I actually pulled from the actual table. So I'm not pulling another table from somewhere else. Yeah, okay, I think it's the same thing. I just wanted to be very sure that it's the same thing. Okay. So what we then do next is, so we can bring out necessary data that we already had from like the cloud solution they were using. So we can add it as a column here and just kind of like output that. Okay, I think this is done running. Probably didn't pull results from the other companies that like results. Maybe they didn't have like a CTO that was identified. So, but we'll just work with, because of our time, we just try to work with these ones that we have results for. So we'll just filter based on this. Is not empty. Yeah, so we'll just work with this list of 5 people that we're able to like quickly get. So let's try to look for, you can look for their email. Yeah. So what we'll just do is come to enrichment and just kind of like talk about, look for their work email. So this, yeah, so this is what the work email and waterfall looks like. So when you search for work email, just pull it out and you're able to just select this and look for people's email based on like their full name and company domain. So that's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. So many of these data providers, that's kind of like how some of them work. So we'll go ahead to run it. So we can actually add more providers for the work email. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can add more email waterfall providers. So our success is higher. So there's enroll and add enroll. So another interesting thing is, so for most of these providers, to save costs, click credits. One of the best approaches to just kind of like pay for like their API keys. The API keys are usually way cheaper than what Clay charges. So you can pay for Lead Magic. Lead Magic has you can get like the API key and just kind of like bring it into Clay. Clay, one of the beautiful things about Clay is you can bring in your own API keys and use it to run your tables. So there's enroll also too. So like I was saying earlier, so there's even Apollo here. So you can, if you're like an Apollo account, you can plug in your API key and use it. So let me see another provider that is on here already. So there's better contacts. So so what we're just going to do next is to run the 5 rows to get like their emails. So as you can see, it's running. So the typical way, what is waterfall essentially mean is, so the first provider is going to run. If he finds the email, the other providers are not going to run. So if, look at, you can see for the second example, he didn't find the email, the second provider is running, the third provider is running. So it's going to keep running that way across the multiple providers that are already added. And as you can see, it has already gotten like the emails of these people already. So I think that's good enough already for the sake of this session. So what we can then now proceed to do next is to just like an intro email to target these people. So and one thing we already know is I think we can also filter to only show the guys that we know their cloud solution. So just run it for them. So what we do next is to write like the email copy. So here's what we are going to do. So there's what I was thinking about doing was in the first line, um, kind of like referencing the what any form of achievement they've done. But like I said, because of time, we just kind of like um, leave it to just what's it called, to the provider they use and the kind of value that DigitalOcean can offer them. So what we'll be doing is we'll come to this same use AI, and this time around we are trying to like write content, create a modified content. So I'm one of the best in my experience. One of the best models to use for writing content is Claude. Even like writing like outbound emails. So you can use Claude Sonnet. So to write the prompts, I think I'll use like a GPT that I have that can also actually help me writing the prompts and then feed it. Then prompts the prompter here to then give us something. So there's this particular uh, GPT that one of the co-founders of GTM Engineering School kind of like it, and it's really good. Maybe I also add the link to the slides so you guys can also get access to it. It's really good for creating like really structured content and prompts. So I'll feed it like the basic of what I want to do and tell it to give me a prompt. I'll tell it I want to write this email. So what I'm trying to do is also reference like the case study um, used in the we showed when we were searching DigitalOcean in the beginning of the session. So the third line will be like a sort city asking for a meeting. Okay, so the idea is you're not giving emails to AEs. AEs are not going to do the outreach. Or you're handing over to a account executive or actual prospects that have indicated interest in DigitalOcean. So yeah, not just email, actual prospects. Or in this case, booked meetings. Yeah, so it has given me the prompt already that it's kind of like really good already. So yeah, I'll just take this and run with it. Uh, so this rule, I'll take this, put this in the context for the task. So instead of sales copywriter, I think I'll change it to creative writer. Copy the rest of the prompts. So what I'm also doing is I'm also going to map these fields so it's able to pick the right context. Okay, so we won't do any further optimization on this, so we don't spend much time. So we just run with it directly and just get like the results. So what this is supposed to do is supposed to write personalized copy for each person. So but ideally we would have used more data points beyond just like the tech stack they're using. So, but I mean, this is just to kind of like give you guys the idea of what is possible. So it has given us, it has already outputted, it has given us an output of the emails already. So you guys can see, notice you are running on your infrastructure on AWS. Yeah. So you can see, the email is writing to Ujwal is different. So what we can do is maybe now let's output this to another column. Let's call it email 1. Yes. So this is the email to what's it called? To the first person. So you can see, I think one of the benefits of something like this is, particularly when you're running email campaigns, you don't want to come off as spams to like Google providers, because when you're sending the same email to everyone, it's easy for Google providers and even like Outlook, Microsoft to notice it's spam. But when you're sending like really personalized email to each person, it's comes up like one to one. So yeah, so this is pretty much it. So the same steps is what you're going to do for like the rest of your email, depending on how you the formulas you're using for like your email, you can write it. So I probably would have spent more time around like the opening of the email, like the salutation, but you guys get the gist of what is possible. Yeah, even for the provider that I should have skipped, I forgot to skip it. I actually wrote an email to them and said it. You don't have like a cloud provider yet, so yeah. So yeah, I think this would be like a good place to stop. So, but ideally, what will happen at this point is, yeah, pretty much just writing like the subject email and sending this to like your sequencer, where you can actually send the email to this prospect. So you search for sequencer here. Yeah, you can now select your favorite sequencer. There's customer value, there's outreach, there's Lemlist, there's smart lead, wherever you can now map it to those tools and send the emails. So yeah. And
Bolaji,
if you
question.
okay,
Okay, sorry. Finish up first. I thought you
yeah,
were done.
yeah, I was going to say that if your sequencing tool is not, you don't have like a native integration with Clay, so there's two steps. You can easily just export this. You can export it to CSV and take it to like your own tool and run a campaign. Or like I said, you can build like a what's it called? Play as like a webbook. So you can look for plays, um, webbook, get like the what's it called? The webbook of the platform you want to use. Then you can run like you can pretty much just connect the two together using like the API and push the data to your tool. Yeah. So you're going to ask a question.
Yes, so I wanted to kind of understand how the sequencer works. So am I pushing the everything in this table, the names, the emails? So what would it look like if we were to just push all this data to a sequencer?
So most of this, so what you're going to do, what is happening here, because everything has been done already, you
Mm-hmm.
don't you don't need to, we are pretty much just importing the subjects and the body of the email. As opposed to, ideally, if you're writing the email in the sequencer, you now start using like your liquid tags and all of that. You don't need to do that. So you can pretty much just um, import this messaging already as like your step one
Okay.
into like the sequencing tool. So and what you're also importing like the data of who you're sending to, like the first name and the last name, because you still want to keep like your CRM really clean, and like the email, which is like the details of the person that you're trying to reach out to also. So that's what's it like, kind of like what you're importing. And within, depending on the tool you're using, you're now able to like create like the sequence to say this is the first step. Depending on how you want to space it to, you want to space it for maybe every 2 days. You can also do all of that setup within the sequencing tool.
Okay. This is clear. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Um,
Any other,
okay, guys. Yeah.
yes, is there any other question from anybody? And shout out to everybody that stuck to stuck to this time. Yeah, it's been 2 hours. Yeah, shout out to everybody that stuck to now.
And also, Bolaji, shout out to you. I mean, you've been speaking for 2 hours, so you deserve your flowers too. So thank you. I mean, it's been so insightful. Like, I almost feel like if I get off this call, I should try and build something before I forget. It's been
Yeah,
so helpful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, like I said since the beginning of the session, there's like no limit to what can be built. You
Mhm.
can, you can, yes, there'll be, yeah, the session is being recorded. You get like a recording. So there's like no limit to what can be built on Clay. So which was one of the reasons why I highlighted the aspect of creative thinking. So you now you now need to think like the way and maybe an engineer needs to think, or a system architect. So okay, what's the best way to approach this problem? Um, how am I able to have access to like this data? I think one of the things that Clay did, for example, recently, let me go back to this workbook, is they have they have like a signals session. So you can have like a list of maybe say 1,000 leads that are just kind of like really code, and you just want to import them into Clay, and you create like a signals for each of them that you are monitoring them for, so that whenever that signals pops up, you are reaching out to them in a very timely manner. So there are so many things you can do, and even on Clay's website, they kind of like give you ideas of what you can even do um, in terms of like approach. Mm,
And if I'm to add, if you're currently job hunting, you can also use Clay. I think I saw somewhere that
Yeah,
using Clay as for your job search is also a use case.
yeah, yes, it's actually, yeah. I think it should be even be like the templates channel. They have like a templates channel where you can
Channel,
just,
yeah.
for different use cases, you can just, yeah, you can see, for example, you can script, um, say that there's a particular influencer
Oh.
in your niche, say
Mhm.
HR, you're selling HR software now, and there's an influencer that's always talking about HR on LinkedIn. You can script that person's comments and maybe posts, do some form of lead scoring to see people that fit your ICP and reach out to them.
Yeah,
Then,
I've seen this at work. Sorry to cut you short. Like, sorry, it's like when you were speaking about this, I just said, oh, so this is what happened to me on LinkedIn. Like, I've seen scenarios where you know how people say comment template and I'll DM you the
yeah, yeah,
template.
yeah, that's actually like a tool.
Yeah.
That's
So
a very,
afterwards, people will just reach out to me and say, hi, Onyinye, I saw you commented on XYZ's post. And these people usually either have a competing product or they do, it's either competing or kind of complementary. And they will now say, oh, we can also do this, check it out. And I wonder, how did they do this? So apparently, this is what they did.
this is
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can actually, there's a feature to scrape comments, LinkedIn comments in what's it
Mm.
called, on within Clay, and you can actually use Phantom Buster. So Phantom Buster, so you can scrape comments there. Phantom Buster is a really powerful tool also to.
Mm.
I think Epify should also have that feature because I mean Epify is it's also another powerful tool that you can use
Okay.
to uh, Epify. Yes, so you can use to scrape most of the platforms that you can think about. So you can even see they have like an Instagram scraper, Google Maps scraper. They have over 5,000 actors. So you can see this was the particular actor I was talking about. I used to scrape like up to 50,000 leads on Apollo. So I just signed up for like a feature on Apollo, and within the 14 days, I just scraped all the data that I needed that I used as a database for the campaign I wanted to run. So you can see the person I was talking about, influencers. So this is TikTok scraper. You can scrape TikTok, you can scrape Twitter, you can scrape many platforms that you can think about using. So what you then do now is you then now import it into Clay and do your enrichments. And they also have like a native Clay integration. So you can also just leverage the native integration that they have already. Yep. So webinars, you can see like a play for webinars. So when people attend your, say we are running this, we're a GTM engineering agency, for example. I mean, we could have done a lot of maybe set up like a GTM workflow for everyone that attended this webinar to sell our products. Yeah. So does anyone have any question? I guess because need to wrap up now.
Okay, I guess we are good. I guess we're good. So everyone, there is a recording. Bolaji, can you also share? I know we said we're going to send out the recording, but are you also open to sharing the slides too?
Oh, the slides.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. I can even let me just drop. I mean, you can send it as part of the blasts
Yeah.
after the session. But yeah, dropping the. I just dropped
Okay.
the link to the slides
Yeah. Then
section.
someone is asking you what's the cost of the GTM course you know enrolled in.
Ah, for the okay. So interestingly, I mean, um, this was the course I did, the program I did. Um, the cost is actually $2,500. But I mean, I was lucky enough to get a fully funded scholarship into the program.
Okay, it's a scholarship.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. So wishing everyone, oh, it's $25, but they offer
We
scholarship.
have There are a lot
Anyone
of,
that wants to
there are
enroll,
a lot
best
of
of luck.
those, yeah. I know some of my guys are on this call right now that they can easily pay for this course. Look at the one of my guys already that can easily pay. Ukaya can easily pay for this. This is like chicken change. So Ukaya, how did I get the scholarship? Omo. Okay, so interestingly, one of the founders of this school is someone, Matteo. Is somebody I've always known him when it comes to like product marketing. Like he's someone I follow. I follow read like his newsletter like a lot, and we've been connected on LinkedIn. So when I saw they wanted to launch the program, I think that was late last year or more. I shot my shot to the Nigerian way, and that was how I got in. I just shot my shot at Matthew. So, but before then, we've been interacting on LinkedIn, so just kind of made it easy. There was some form of easy relationship, I could say. So yeah, shout out to Matthew. He's also the creator that should be Genesis Hyper Growth Partners. Let me see. And Matthew, if you actually go to LinkedIn, Matthew has like some of the best. Matthew has like one of the best playbooks that you can use for anything you want to do. Like Matthew is like he's a guy that he has worked with like some of the best companies, and yeah, if you are looking for, he has like a pumps library. So some things I need to do, I just go to Matthew's pumps library and I get it from there. And here's his newsletter. Yeah. So and you can get everything here. He does like a lot of deep dives and a lot of really good stuff. I'm trying to look for his LinkedIn. On his LinkedIn, he links a lot of playbooks there also too. Yeah, so if you just also come to his LinkedIn, you see a lot of playbooks that you can just leverage for programmatic SEO, anything you're trying to do. He has a lot of information there. So Hyper Growth Partners, that's actually the newsletter. Let me try to search for it. They're on Substack. Yeah, exactly. So this is actually the yes. You can see Matthew is very huge on SEO. So he was actually the one that got helps because he has worked with helps to. Oh, sorry, when you were about to say something. Okay, yeah. So this is the name of. Let me just drop the link to this on the comments. Okay, yeah. Oh, I mean, it practically, it was their GTM consultant. So he practically helped build helps to where they are right now. So that was one of the reasons why I helped sponsored like the GTM engineering program, and we're one of the tools that people learn to build SEO with. It helps is like a really good tool for SEO. And they're also kind of like pioneering their own motion around content engineering. So where you have like content engineers that can kind of like architect content marketing end to end, from writing the content to even distribution, optimization, everything end to end. So yeah. So it's been nice spending over 2 hours with you guys. I think Onyinye herself has dropped off. I don't know if she's still there. So Does anyone have any question before I round up for the night?
Hi guys. First of all, I'm back. I had internet issues, but I am
Classic,
here and I am back.
classic Nigerian problem. Global power,
Exactly.
the world.
Someone has a question.
Oh, Bukayo, Maoga.
Hi, good evening, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I joined a little bit later, so I'm going to watch the recording. But my question is, how have you seen the success rate and adoption, right? Especially using the email sequencing system, right? When it comes to different markets, right? So first Nigerian market, second is other African markets, and then the third is globally. I think globally might be better, right? But Nigeria and certain African markets like East and Southern African markets, because they have different culture from us when it comes to that. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah. So in terms of adoption in Nigeria, yeah, I think there are a couple of people that there are two. I think there are two approaches to it for me, from what I've seen. So adoption from the talent side of things. So there are a lot of people that are actually okay. Success rates. Oh, I thought you adopt success rates. I think before you joined the call, I spoke to like the coin campaign I'm running. Right now within like the Nigerian markets. That's like my first campaign using, and this stack that I used Apollo, Epify, Clay, Smart Lead. Yeah, so and the success rate has been good actually, because if I check the meeting book started like a campaign with, that was like last week, and between then and now we've booked about like 5 meetings already, like qualified meetings. So yeah, and people are actually like really responding. So the numbers are really good. They're even above in terms of like benchmarks for like reply rate, positive reply rates, and all of that. The like way above the benchmarks. So and that's like a Nigerian market stats, which I shared previously. Yeah, the numbers have been good. So and other markets, at least within the Clay community, at least I've seen a lot of South Africans that come on the Clay community, and they're hiring that. I think South Africans are like the ones I've seen that are actually hiring for someone with the title GTM engineer. So I don't know much about like the East African market, but South Africa, I've seen a lot of them like what's it called, hiring for like GTM engineers. So in Nigeria, I mean, I think when he was even did like a poll for GTM engineer, a lot of people are not even familiar with like the term. So
Yeah.
people don't even know
Yeah.
like what is a GTM engineering. So I guess with time, people, and I think another thing is a lot of people, like I shared earlier, a lot of people too, yeah, a lot of people are also doing some of this stuff already without necessarily with the titles. Because at the end of the day, when we look at it, titles are just titles. The work is what matters, getting like the work done already. So if I in some companies might be like the marketing manager that is going to do these things. Because I remember I've had a couple of people even reached out. I've been on calls with some marketing managers in Nigeria, yeah, where we actually walk through like their Clay workflows. Like there's actual Nigerian companies that are actually using Clay at the moment. So I was surprised myself, and it was really good. Some Nigerian companies are like building workflows on Clay already. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ido. Oh my gosh. I know we spent 2 hours, 30 minutes, and I can't believe it, but it's been so valuable.
Yeah.
So valuable, honestly. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And guys, if maybe your company is looking for a GTM engineer or something, please just reach out to Bolaji. I'm sure he's open to gigs. Just reach out to him and you guys can talk. And as we've said before, the recording and everything, would share it later if it's possible, and if I have the time, I'll try to split it into two, like the whole explanation part and then the second part that actually has the workflow. And then finally, please, when I send the feedback form, just share your feedback. It's so someone says speech only ends in so in dollars. You can never know unless you try. And I'm sure that, in fact, but like you say how we're going to use it. Use discount code early stage marketer. He will convert it to naira for you and also give you a discount on top of the naira. So so you can
Yeah,
never know. But
big
like
shout out
anyone
to,
that attends, give them a discount, please, and charge in naira too.
by the way, big shout out to Onyinye and the early stage marketer. If you guys are not part of like the community, you guys should join. That's
Oh
like
yeah.
the conversations that happen there alone. And I was, and apart from that, there are a lot of like really small meetups that happen within like the early stage market. And I think that's kind of like
Yeah.
what is needed, as opposed to just like the really huge conferences that happen where everything is just very muddled up. So, but when you host like occasionally, she hosts like physical meetups and even what's it called, like virtual meetups, where people just come and really share stuff that they'll typically not share in a regular session. Maybe things around handling, managing your boss, like where it's not like a speaker comes and is speaking to everyone. Something that feels like a therapy session in a sense. So that's kind of the things you get with the early stage market, and people that are trying to like act things together, just do that. So Oye, you pay me for
Yeah.
plugging your community.
Thank you. I remember to give our people discounts, Bolaji. But anyway, guys, I'm going to send the link to the community and then the link to the newsletter in all the post events comes. So
Yeah.
over the weekend you get something. And Bolaji, are you committing to giving us discounts? Because I'm actually going to say if you use discount code early stage marketer, you get a discount.
No, no wahala, no wahala.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Guys,
yeah,
you've heard him. He's going to give us a discount. And finally, guys, I mean, feel free to talk about this session on LinkedIn and everything will be sent out Olubukayo over the weekend. You get the recording, the slides, community would send everything out.
yeah.
So yeah, so we've almost come to the end, but I mean, feel free to give Bolaji his flowers publicly. Give him a shout out on LinkedIn. Feel free to mention him. Feel free to even mention me too. And most importantly, build something. I mean, if you build it, tag us, tag Clay, tag any of the people you used
Yeah,
in
actually,
building whatever.
I mean, happy to
Yeah,
happy to
yeah,
oh, guys, funds that I need to ask, ask for my account number.
yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, who knows? If we build, who knows? We may even have a second virtual event where we'd call it a showcase. Everyone can just come and show what they build and with all and on over it.
yeah.
It's
I'm
so
actually
good.
looking forward to that point where Nigerians are also like really building cool stuff
Hmm.
around
Honestly,
workflows. I think that's something because one of the things I'm also trying to do myself, like maybe every week, share what I'm building and not just click. I think I share like
mm,
a lot of tools that you can build GTM engines on. There's anything. I mean, anything
yeah,
is anything that if you sit down with anything alone, that's another. I mean, just this session alone, look at how much time we spent with Clay. If we go into
mm,
another session or anything, like there's crazy things we can build with it. Actual stuff that's going to move the needle for you.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm even vibe coding tools. Pick
hmm,
up bolts that's new, lovable, anyway. This is build stuff that will make your life easy. That's kind of like the way I'm always thinking these days. What's going to make my life easy? And I
mm,
can. So if I have to like churn out 20 content, if I can build like a system that will give me that 20 content that, and the content is going to be better than what I'm going to write, even write myself, and it's going to sound like me. Why not? I'll build that system and stitch things together to do it for me.
yeah.
So
So, guys, let's build.
just having you guys in the WhatsApp
Mm.
group of early stage marketer. I mean, the conversations there, yeah, you guys need to be there. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Balaji. And I'm going to send everyone the invites. And honestly, I'm going to just spend some time thinking about this session because I don't want it to be like we've heard and then we'll go to the week, we go into the weekend, we have fun, and then we forget. I'm just going to try to do layer a second step, which can just be like having maybe groups or something where we'll just actually build, use everything we've learned to build something. But when I flesh that out, I'll reach out to everyone again. So, guys, it's been quite a day. Thank you so much. And Bolaji, please, guys, send him your flowers. Give him your shout out on LinkedIn. Like, I don't know, I can't say it enough, but thank you, Bolaji. And thank you to everyone who joined. Thank you for staying with us so far. Have a beautiful weekend. And shout out to Bolaji publicly on LinkedIn. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Good night, guys.
Bye, guys. Enjoy your
Bye,
weekend.
guys. You too. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Have fun. And give Bolaji his shout out. Mention him, mention me, mention any other person you saw over here. And I'm going to reach out with next steps. Thank you and good night.